Alrighty, those of you still in the room, come and join us. We're going to have a chat about e-commerce. Let's try that again. I'll stay over here now, behind the camera. That's recording, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. Okay. Hello, folks. How are we? For those of you joining us online who can't see me, wondering what's going on, you are joining us live from MYB's Partner Connect. We're going to have a chat to these two gentlemen about e-commerce. We've got Darren from Web Ninja, and we've got Peter from Census, who look after the online listings for businesses. Darren, let's start with you. When we look at e-commerce, it's a huge space. Do you want to explain what e-commerce actually is?
It's a lot of different things for a lot of different companies, I think. It's not about anymore just having your products up online and hoping to get a few more eyeballs. It's about service. It's about efficiencies in the business. It's about sometimes shifting some of those smaller transaction cost customers off to a lower cost environment. It's a few different things to different companies. It depends on their focus, I think.
Yeah, Peter, what are you? What do you think of e-commerce? How do you explain it?
Well, I think the most important part is that e-commerce is a huge opportunity for most smaller and bigger businesses to basically expand their customer base, right? So you can expand in geography, but also you can experiment in new industries or in products that are related to your core business. And I think it's just an opportunity.
Yeah.
I would say.
Is it safe to say the assumption with e-commerce is that we're selling something online? But is that always true? Is it always selling, or is it sometimes just about displaying a product online?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we see the world as transactional, not transactional, right? And the non-transactional part is actually more important. It's more important for businesses to actually show what they have. And not only it means that customers can find their products, but it's very good for SEO, for search engine optimization. And so because you create new pages, you create a lot of information about your business. So it's I would say that the non-transactional e-commerce is even bigger and more important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember we were talking a while back about how important it is for people to see those products and then come in store. Is it still an important part of business today for those who are both brick and mortar and online?
Yeah, definitely. It's all about eyeballs, right? So, and it's all about research usually, and the internet's a great place to research product. It might be one of those situations where they still need to experience it at some point. In other words, touch it, feel it, that sort of stuff. But certainly the web is great for research. So the more information you can have up there about your products, the better chance you've got someone buying it.
Yeah, exactly. Darren, how hard is it to start to go into e-commerce?
Oh, look, it's really easy. It's really easy. It's about, I think, understanding who your audience is first, what you want to sell, maybe picking a subset of products that are suitable to buy online, or at least show online, and then go about organising your data in something like MYB. Using the API, it's really simple to plug our stuff in and your stuff too, Peter, and get up there and hopefully start selling.
Peter, you've got a strong background in this space. How important is it to understand the action of what the user's doing? I mean, Darren, you just talked about now about maybe grabbing a subset. Peter, how do I know what products are actually working? What do my customers really want to see online?
Yeah, first it's very easy to research this, right? So Google has a tool called Google Trends, and so you can in Google you can see which products are trending, and that will help to find your subset. That's one. The second thing is that you have to look at a few things which is about the product themselves. And for example, if you look at homewares, you don't want to start with glassware because glassware can break. So you have to look at can I send it easily? Can I ship it easily?
Yes.
Does it break? But also, what is the quantity I need to sell to be profitable? And for example, Target here in Australia, they sold for a long time single glasses online.
Single
Well,
glass.
nobody can make money that way, right? And it seemed to be a good service, but if half of them break anyway, then why bother?
You have it going on, right?
Yeah.
Darren, have you seen a change in the type of customers from e-commerce ahead of years to those now? Are they more in tune with trying to understand the metrics and the data behind it rather than just the site?
No, most definitely. I mean, everyone wants some sort of cost benefit when they do something like this in whatever part of their business. So it's not just, it's no different than having a sales team out there and understanding what hopefully the rewards are, that go with those costs. So everyone's now focused on, okay, well, what's selling, what's not selling. You've got great tools like Google Analytics now that you can understand what pages get hit and don't get hit on your site. How many people are abandoning the cart when it gets to the checkout page? What are the reasons for that? And understanding, well, how do I get a higher conversion rate with my customers online? So, yeah, it's becoming more and more sophisticated. And there's some really great tools out there now that allow you to do that sort of stuff really quickly and easily.
Yeah, and it's also that because this world is growing so fast that it's not only profitability on a single transaction. You really have to model what is this customer worth for me.
Yeah.
Right.
And because all the big players are buying traffic on Google based on the customer lifetime value. So you really have to know that.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the online space? It's relatively simple in many ways to move into it. How important is mobile in today's e-commerce platforms?
Yeah, massive.
Massive.
Yeah. I don't know a site in terms of the customers that we have that doesn't have at least 50% penetration in terms of mobile.
Wow.
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah. So search, you have to be there. So you have to have some sort of mobile presence. It has to be obviously easy to use, thumb navigation, that sort of stuff. But it's growing and growing all the time. You see the number of handsets sold, the smartphones sold. It just makes sense.
And you see also in the path, right? So you see that about 65% of searches start on a mobile.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that means that people are looking on a mobile and click through to your site. If they can't read it, they go back.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you say 65% of people start their search on mobile.
Yeah.
How many actually complete the transaction on mobile versus maybe just doing a bit of research and either going in store or waiting till they're on a computer to do the final transaction?
Yeah. Very, very good question.
It's as far as I know, it's still quite small.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's quite hard at this stage to get that conversion factor that you do on a normal desktop site. I don't know what that is, whether it's just purely a trust thing or it's not enough information to make that purchase, at that level. But certainly research, if you're not there, you're missing out.
Yeah. And it's also you have to split mobile in traffic on a mobile and traffic on tablets.
Yeah.
And so tablets transaction is usually the conversion rate is fairly high because people are sitting on the couch.
True.
And buying almost without thinking. But the mobile transactions are primarily around how easy do you make the checkout, and do you remember credit cards or not? Do you use PayPal or not? I mean, there's a lot of things.
Exactly. Trying to remove those barriers, right? Make it easy as possible for people to get in and purchase. Have you got any questions from the floor?
I was just going to say on that, just so people understand too, there's three primary reasons for abandoned carts. The top three are you're scaring me when I get to the checkout page in terms of freight cost.
Yes.
Right. It's not relative to the value I'm seeing here. My preferred payment method is not there. So something that I don't trust is there, or there's nothing there that I trust. A PayPal, a name. And then thirdly, overall the site doesn't exude credibility. Yeah. So it's got to be slick, it'll be easy to use. Freight's got to be relative or included or somehow palatable. And then give me a trusted payment method.
Yeah, I mean all these factors they contribute to the trust. Right?
Absolutely.
So I think the overarching thing is trust.
Yeah.
coming from New Zealand where PayPal is not as strong as it is, especially in the American market and even here, how important is PayPal for e-commerce here in Australia?
Very important. Yeah, I mean, most people out here have been on eBay, have grown up on PayPal basically in terms of e-commerce. It's a big name. It's a big cost. It's a bigger cost, than a payment gateway or even one of the bank's gateways. But the credibility factor is probably an overriding factor sometimes for most websites in the consumer space.
And you see that on most sites, about 30% of your transactions will go to PayPal.
Yeah.
But if you would turn on PayPal, it doesn't mean that you miss 30% of your transactions, right? People will find an alternative. They really want the product, but it's really, really important to make the friction as low as possible, right? So you want to make sure that people just can choose what they want.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to build a website and I want to put e-commerce on it. Is it as easy as just turning it on, or is there more to the whole story than just simply turning it on and it'll come?
Well, that's of course, I would like to say it's super easy. We do it in a few clicks, and technically that might be true. However, as a business, setting up an e-commerce business is just as hard as opening a second store. And that's really important because your processes will be complicated, your inventory will be spread around 2 locations, and also the way you will drive consumers, there might be a displacement, right? So you have to actually model really, really well how profitable it should be. But you have to ask yourself, am I ready to do this?
Yeah.
Am I ready to do this? Because if you're not ready, you're not doing yourself a favor.
Yeah, it's like anything. If you're not going to put your heart into it and a few resources, it's not going to work out. There's another point that I'd make there too in terms of the difference between a consumer site and what I'd call a B2B site, a wholesaler who's selling to other shops, so to speak.
Yeah.
So when it comes to consumer, then obviously, you want to attract as many new eyeballs as you can. So that's about search and how do people find and find the right things around my products and so forth. When it comes to B2B, it's probably a little bit different because you typically have an existing user base or a customer base.
Right.
So sometimes it's just about shifting those people to that lower cost environment. But having said that, you still need to provide some incentive for them to do that. It's not just convenience. Sometimes it's not just enough. Sometimes it's a discount if you use our website. Sometimes it's something else that you get as a reward. We've got a lot of B2B customers now who actually give reward points. Right. So they'll come in and you spend $2,000 and you'll get 2,000 points, and you can redeem that on either our goods again or something else that we sell, almost like quick appliance type situation.
Right. So you're right in that we often forget it when we talk about e-commerce. We go, business to consumer. We forget that businesses trade with each other all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's about creating those efficiencies in business, which is really now the third wave of e-commerce in Australia.
Yeah.
We had business to consumer and eBay and all that sort of stuff, and then people sort of enhanced their business to consumer experience, and now the B2B guys are saying, well, actually, let's us be open 365 days a year, 7 days a week, etc., and also shift some of that cost to a lower costing environment, like I said earlier.
Yeah, and it can save a lot of time in servicing customers as well, right? So if you have a rental business and you have your equipment online and it says whether it's available or not, then it's way easier for customers to determine whether you can be their service provider.
Is e-commerce limited to products? We just started talking about services, but what about appointments or bookings or those sort of things? Is that available?
Yeah, of course, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and even think about digital products. A lot of people think B2C or B2B, and it has to be a product or has to be a service. For example, a lawyer can sell templates of certain contracts. Most of them don't, but it's a very, very easy thing to sell. It doesn't cost anything to ship. It's a downloadable, and it creates also a lead generating path for the lawyer work. So any business can think about the business a little bit differently and trying to find a digital version of their product.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Any questions? Oh, I've got a question. Fantastic.
How do I go from my e-commerce store, automated, into my MYOB, one data entry out of the road, straight into my CRM so that my support staff and after-sales staff can look after the customer and know exactly what's happening?
So there's two things there, I suppose, from our perspective, which we do both of those products. We do integrated web stores, but we also do an integrated CRM. So when a new customer, for instance, comes on board and says, I'd love to be a customer, they can do two things. It can create a web account, so to speak, but it also can go automatically into your CRM. On top of that, then, the customer buys in the store. That transaction is automatically imported into MYOB, or through the APIs, not even an import, just writes, and then pushed back up in terms of the transaction relative to that customer in the CRM. So it's almost like that full circle of life, so to speak, for the transaction. And then, your guys, your account management guys can go, well, we haven't heard from you in a little bit or whatever. So first of all, drive the product from MYOB itself up to the web store. Customer comes online, registers for an account. That goes two ways, CRM and the web store. And they buy the product on the web store. Transaction goes to MYOB, back up into CRM.
And so when we started e-commerce, we thought, because of the fact that it's quite hard and you have to have your mindset right, you have to basically think, I'm starting a new location of my store, of my service. We thought we need to tap into the processes people already know. We don't want to teach them something new. And that's where MYOB comes in. I mean, they know how it works. They have the products already in. So we set them up, enrich the data. People buy, we push the orders back.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So because in the end, Darren and I are there to make it easy or as easy as we can.
Yeah, as easy as possible, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then where do you drive your email communications from? Is it coming from the store, from your CRM, or even from your MYOB for that matter?
Yeah, in our instance, we integrate to MailChimp. So industry standard, quite an easy product to get into, to use, very, very reasonably priced. So from our point of view, you sort of segment the data, if you, so to speak, in your CRM. That shoots across to a MailChimp list. You create your email, campaign, so to speak, in MailChimp, and then do it from there.
Yeah. Well, and list building is what we do as well, but it's important to realize that the relationship starts in the transaction, right? And that communication should already be the point where the next transaction starts, right? So it's very important to keep customers up to date, not only to say where we are with the shipment, etc., but also that you make clear what you do more, to sell more.
I think one of the things that Peter touched on is about helping businesses work with what they're used to. So if they're already doing email communication from their CRM system, because they may have sales that are outside the e-commerce, you can leave it there. The beauty of data sharing through APIs means that you can do that. If it's brand new, you have that conversation and say, hey, where does it make sense for this to fit the best? Make that decision and stick with it, whether it's off the CRM, whether it's off the e-commerce, or whether it's off the accounting or something. The APIs allow the data that's needed for that segmentation or that history to be in any of those systems to drive that. So I think that was a good point about working with what they're already used to. Any other questions?
Right, you originally touched upon the product transaction side of things. Can you explain?
Can't hear you, sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Can you just explain how important it is to write product descriptions? Is there any advice you can give for writing product descriptions for businesses?
Product descriptions are my pet pony. So product descriptions are, I think, the most important thing, together with pictures, what you can do for your site, right? So product descriptions, they serve several goals and several types of customers. The first goal is to attract a customer when he sees your product in Google or anywhere else, right? So your first line needs to be basically saying what it is, right? So when people see this, and they want to know more about the product, but they want to know more about the product not in terms of that it's 220 volt or whatever. They want to know the benefits, right? So you write a few bullet points and benefits, and then you give the information which is basically for people who want to read a lot, right? So that would be my advice. Also, we did some tests with the quality of pictures, and we took some pictures of eBay, so like the normal mugshots of a bike and chairs, and we did professional photography. The difference is about 100% conversion increase.
Yeah, that's that credibility factor. Right?
Yeah, it's a credibility is one, but also, yeah, you don't trust a site when it has crappy text and crappy pictures.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Just on the description side of things, and what your sort of Peter was making a point there, it's Google search, or every search is about relevance.
Yes.
So descriptions have to be relevant to the people that are looking for them. Yeah. So sometimes, a business that's been cracking away for 40 years sort of thing, they sort of think they understand their audience, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes you need to go out to your audience and say, if you were to look for this product, how would you look for it?
Yeah.
Because we sell it, but we don't look for it. So how would you look for it? How would this potential new audience actually look for this product? Is it by application? Is it by description? Is it by something else? Yeah. And oftentimes, because they have been using, say, an MYB for a number of years, they've got slashes and dashes and stars and all that sort of stuff that means something to them internally. It means nothing to me on the web.
Yeah. It's really important just to look at your description from a outsider.
Correct.
Like your mum, and then say, do you understand this? And then they say, well, what does the star mean? What is the slash?
And why those things in there. But don't write a novel, right? Keep
it
short.
That's right. That's right.
Keep it short and don't write for search engines.
No.
Don't write for search engines. Write for your audience. Write for your audience. The search engines should adjust to the audience and not the other way around.
Exactly. It's one thing I've always said for me is, you write for your audience, you get it right, and Google's smart. It'll read that, it'll understand it, and it'll appreciate it.
Yeah.
The other thing I would touch on that as well, because neither of you brought it out, is update that content relatively frequently. At least 4 times a year, if not slightly longer. Because again, Google and people like to have fresh information coming through as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and make sure that the structure of your text and the structure of your page is updated with the new Google releases.
Yes.
So last year they did, I think, 4 major releases, right? The sites which scored in the beginning of the year did not score in the end of the year because they just changed their algorithm very subtly.
Awesome. All right. So e-commerce is a fantastic thing, and as we said, we're making it easier and easier for people to do it. However, it's also not something to walk into lightly. There's a lot more work to it, and if you want to make it successful, have a chat to these guys, and then learn some of those things about improving your descriptions, better photos. Take the time and effort to invest into that to get the returns from it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming along. Census and Web Ninja are both back over in the back corner, and for those of you online, links are directly below the video. Go and have a chat to them and learn more. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.